Dear learners, in this session, I will be discussing some aspects of serotonin, its agonists and antagonists, and the therapeutic value of these drugs. Now, as you all know, medicine is a changing science. Therefore, this presentation is based on the availability of current knowledge, and at places there will be some reflection of the experience. Therefore, this will be presenter's opinion only. Now, these questions which are framed and the contents which are made are for testing knowledge, comprehension, analyzing the effects, and applying the knowledge in a clinical situation. Some unique characteristics of the corticoids, that is serotonin, its agonists and antagonists, are included so that one may identify real therapeutic utility. Now, the objective of this session are concept clarification to prepare you for performing well in the Viva Voce examination, and also to prepare some of the PG aspirants among you for the next pre-PG examination right from beginning, right from now. And finally, to make most out of the limited time of interview between you and the examiner. With these objectives beginning, now serotonin is very old, actually, monoamine, and phylogenetically extremely old, and it can be traced several thousand years earlier. Now, it is considered to be one of the important happiness hormones, and people are fond of making necklaces also based on the structure of serotonin. The facts about serotonin are its highest concentration is found in gut mucosa, platelets, and CNS. In CNS, there are Raphe nuclei of the brain stem, a chain of nuclei, and they are the principal sites where they are found and function. And in brain, serotonin affects sleep-wake cycle, appetite, mood, behavior, cognition, sexual activity, aggression, impulsivity, and hormonal secretion. It is also found in peripheral tissues, and it performs vascular reactivity, gut motility, and there is a strong role of inflammation, particularly in the bronchial airways, involving its subtype 2A receptors. Now, platelets have serotonin, and serotonin plays a role in platelet aggregation. Actually, initial vascular injury causes initial aggregation that triggers release of the serotonin, what is known as release reaction. And after that, this serotonin causes shape changes of the platelets and accelerates platelet aggregation. There are actually number of the types of the serotonin receptors found in body tissues and cells. 7 are known, and each has subtypes which may vary from 3 to 5. Now, if a question is asked, a neuronal serotonin receptor located in area postrema, nucleus, tractus solitarius, and GIT. Now, it is a neuronal, and it is 5-HT3 subtype. Now, how is it different from other serotonin receptors? All are G protein coupled receptors except this 5-HT3. It is a ligand gated ion channel receptor, and it is involved in the emetic activity. Therefore, its drugs acting on this receptor are used to treat vomiting. And ondansetron, granisetron, pelonosetron, pemosetron, and tropisetron are 5-HT3 receptor antagonists which are used to control vomiting due to a variety of reasons, particularly anti-cancer drug. Among all these citrons which I have spoken, palonosetron is longest acting. So it can be a part of MCQ also. At least it is effective for 7 days. One single injection will be effective for 7 days. Now, if somebody asks you name a drug which acts as an agonist at 5-HT1D 1B receptors, and what is its use? Sumatriptan is agonist of 5-HT1D and 1B, and currently it is the drug of choice for the treatment of acute migrainous headache. Now, apart from the drugs, the subtypes, one more thing which I want to discuss is that serotonin is involved in depression. It is involved in depression. And how it is involved? The large number of antidepressant drugs, they act by inhibiting neuronal reuptake of the serotonin in the central serotonin neuronal junctions. Therefore, local concentration of serotonin is increased, and that antagonizes depression. So, SSRIs are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and SNRIs is another group selective serotonin noradrenaline reuptake inhibitor. They are the large group of drugs currently used in the treatment of depression. It is not the receptor action, but it is the reuptake blocker. But the monoamine involved is serotonin. Now, what are the other clinically useful drugs which act on serotonin receptors as either agonists or antagonists? Some example of agonists are buspirone is angioselective anti-anxiety drug, and main part of its mechanism of action involves 5-HT1A receptors. Other actions are also there. Now, metoclopramide is anti-emetic prokinetic drug, and apart from other actions, it has 5-HT4 receptor agonistic activity. Newer drugs among available are lorcaserin is used as appetite suppressant in obesity. This drug is agonist at 5-HT2C receptors, and lasemiditan is an agonist indicated in acute migraine treatment. It acts as an agonist at 5-HT1F receptor. Now, among the examples of agonists, cyproheptadine, actually antihistaminic drug, has anti-serotonin action by blocking 5-HT2A receptors. Risperidone and clozapine are antipsychotic drugs, atypical antipsychotic drugs, but apart from many other actions, these drugs also inhibit 5-HT2A2C receptors. Trazodone is antidepressant, atypical antidepressant, and its antidepressant activity is due to, apart from reuptake blockers, it is a blocker of 5-HT2 receptors also. Now, flibanserin is a newer drug. It is a multifunctional 5-serotonin acting drug. Either it is agonist at 5-HT1A or antagonist at 5-HT2A. Now, this is used to increase libido in premenopausal females. So these are the some examples where agonist and antagonist of the serotonin have a role in clinical. Now, how is serotonin involved in pathogenesis of diseases? One example is migraine. We will discuss it in details. Another is endogenous depression. I have given gist of the idea. The amine theory of depression is there, and serotonin is monoamines are there. Noradrenaline, dopamine, and serotonin all are involved. Serotonin is involved. Serotonin also plays role in anxiety, panic, and phobias. Apart from this, currently serotonin hypothesis of migraine is confirmed because urinary concentration of serotonin and its metabolites are elevated during acute migraine Plasma and platelet concentration of serotonin vary with the different phases of the migrainous attack, and migraine may be precipitated by agents which cause release of the serotonin from the intracellular stores. For example, reserpine depletes the granules where serotonin is stored, so more serotonin is made available at the junctional sites. Now, among the drugs which are used in the treatment of acute migraine, triptan are the foremost, and number of the triptans are available. So the question may be asked, enumerate triptans: sumatriptan, rizatriptan, naratriptan, provatriptan, and zolmitriptan are the drugs which are currently available. Many more will come in near future also. Which among them is longest acting? At present, provatriptan is considered to be longest acting with a half-life of 26 hours. Now, the unique about zolmitriptan is that it is a shorter acting drug like sumatriptan with quick onset of action, but it is a longer duration action. So, it is a good drug as a replacement of sumatriptan and migraine. Now, other unique aspect is that both sumatriptan and zolmitriptan are available to be used by nasal route. I may tell you here that sumatriptan can be given sublingually, can be given orally, can be injected subcutaneously. So all routes can be utilized, and nasal inhalation route is the current use route which is also available. Now there are certain contraindications to sumatriptan, and some may ask you, why is sumatriptan contraindicated in patients with heart disease, ischemic heart disease? The answer is because sumatriptan may cause intense coronary vasoconstriction and worsen the ischemia and may precipitate acute angina or myocardial infarction. Now, how does sumatriptan act in acute migraine? There are two actions, the vascular vasoconstrictor action, and second is prevention of neurogenic inflammation. Now, sumatriptan during acute attack, it is found that there is vasodilatation of cranial vessels and shunting of the blood from the carotid arteries to other arteries, and that causes cerebral ischemia, and that is a cause of headache. By causing vasoconstriction, sumatriptan closes the shunts, therefore prevents diversion of the blood, prevents ischemia, and therefore blood flow to the brain is restored and headache is removed. Now, another mechanism which is more important is prevention of neurogenic inflammation, acute neurogenic inflammation. Triptans, by acting as agonists as presynaptic 5-HT1D and 1B receptors, inhibit release of pro-inflammatory neuropeptides, and which are not released in perivascular spaces, so they prevent vasodilation, and thus there is a treatment, because vasodilation is a cause of migrainous headache. Now, in which other type of headache is sumatriptan useful? Sumatriptan is useful in cluster headache, which clinically resemble the migraine attack, but they occur in clusters. That is a number of the headaches for a number of days. Now, what are the three important contraindications for sumatriptan use? One I have discussed, patient with ischemic heart disease. Second is uncontrolled severe hypertension. And third is concurrent use of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. That means fluoxetine-like drugs used in depression. Now, why is concurrent use of SSRIs a contraindication? The answer is because potential life-threatening serotonin syndrome may be precipitated by this combination. So there is adverse drug interaction. We will discuss serotonin syndrome subsequently. Now, there is a role of calcitonin gene-related peptides in causation of migrainous headache. Now, calcitonin gene-related peptides are pro-inflammatory neuropeptides. that release cytokines from meningeal mast cells. And one of the action is that CGRPs mediate bradykinin induced pain. Now, since they are also released from trigeminal neurons, so they are responsible for dilatation of meningeal and cerebral vessels, and that is the cause of headache. It is also found that infusion of the calcitonin gene-related peptide causes intense headache. Therefore, its antagonist will be useful in the treatment of acute and chronic migraine. Actually, triptans also inhibit calcitonin gene-related peptide release. So it is a supportive mechanism of action of triptans also. Now, some antagonists are used for acute migraine, others are used for chronic migraine. For acute migraine, the ubrogepant and rimegepant are approved in USA. For chronic migraine, atogepant and many more are there are approved. Now, one of the monoclonal antibody raised against the receptors is erenumab, and that has been approved for the treatment of chronic migraine. Now, what are the drugs which are used for prevention of recurrent migraines? Prophylactic drugs are many and they are seemingly unrelated to each other. Their mechanisms are varying also. Beta blockers, propranolol, amitriptyline, antidepressant, verapamil, calcium channel blocker, flunarizine, calcium channel blocker, antihistaminic, valproate, anticonvulsant, topiramate, anticonvulsant, gabapentin, anticonvulsant, on botulinum toxin A is also used in resistant cases, endoramin alpha blocker, and calcium gene related peptide analogs. Now, these all drugs have different mechanism of action but have been found to be useful in prevention of the recurrent attacks of migraine. Therefore, when migraine attacks are frequent, prophylactic therapy must be done. Now, what is the main use of topiramate? As I told you, topiramate is a broad spectrum anticonvulsant drug used to the treatment of generalized tonic-clonic and focal seizures in adults and children. Currently, it is also used as a weight loss drug in the treatment of obesity, alone or along with other agents. So, what is the unusual adverse effect of topiramate? Topiramate may cause renal stone, paresthesia, angle closure glaucoma, and acute miosis. They are very unusual for any drug. Now, in fact, drugs which are carbonic anhydrase inhibitors, topiramate has carbonic anhydrase inhibiting activity. Zonisamide and acetazolamide are also carbonic anhydrase inhibitors. They all cause renal stones. Trimetazole is potassium sparing diuretic. It also may cause renal stones. So these are the drugs which cause renal stone. Do you know any drug which is an antibiotic but may cause gallstones? Now, this is the third generation cephalosporin, ceftriaxone, may cause gallstones. So, this must be known to a good student. Now, earlier I mentioned serotonin syndrome. What is serotonin syndrome? Use of tricyclic antidepressants, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, serotonin noradrenaline reuptake inhibitors, pethidine, linezolid, sumatriptan, together, one or two drugs together, along with monoamine oxidase inhibitors. Now, this will precipitate serotonin syndrome, that is excessive serotonin availability at the neuronal junctions. The serotonin syndrome is caused by overstimulation of serotonin receptors in the central gray nuclei and medulla. And the symptoms caused by this syndrome are because of excessive serotonin manifestations, cognitive delirium and coma, autonomic hypertension, tachycardia, perspiration, and somatic like myoclonus, hyperreflexia, and tremor. If you look at the syndrome, you will find that it resembles neuroleptic malignant syndrome also. Now, the treatment is different. Rapid cooling, fluid balance, diazepam for the myoclonus or convulsions, and cyproheptadine as anti-serotonin drug, which is used in the treatment of serotonin syndrome. What are the other serotonin disorders? Migraine, I told you, endogenous depression, monoamine theory of depression means monoamine depletion is there. The CSF concentration of 5-HIA, which is a metabolite of serotonin, is low, and those drugs which deplete the neuronal monoamines, they enhance depression. And when we give reuptake blockers, then there is treatment. Therefore, there is a clear evidence that serotonin, dopamine, noradrenaline are involved, and serotonin is the mainstay. Therefore, at present, drugs which are used are serotonin reuptake blockers, which inhibit the reuptake of the serotonin into the presynaptic neurons. Now, drug-induced serotonin syndrome can also occur. I have already discussed earlier. And one pathological condition is carcinoid syndrome. Here, very large amount of serotonin is produced, which may lead to bronchospasm, diarrhea, flushing, and hypotension. Again, here the cyproheptadine is the treatment as a drug. Other modalities of treatment are there, but medical therapy or pharmacotherapy would include cyproheptadine. Now, one vignette is that many of you must be knowing that serotonin, which is formed from tryptophan, but is a precursor for melatonin synthesis. Melatonin means the pineal gland hormone, which is involved in diurnal wakefulness. This is a biological, which maintains a biological clock. Mind you, it is serotonin is precursor for melatonin, not for melanin. Melanin has nothing to do with melatonin. Now, one more thing is there, and that is there any relationship between the niacin and serotonin in some disease? Yes, one can contemplate that tryptophan is needed for synthesis of serotonin and niacin. Therefore, tryptophan is precursor for both these conditions. Now, if there are conditions such as carcinoid syndrome where there is more formation of serotonin, then the demand for tryptophan increases for serotonin synthesis. So there is a diversion of tryptophan to serotonin synthesis, and less is available for synthesis of niacin through niacin pathway. Therefore, a conditioned niacin deficiency may develop, and patient may manifest symptoms like diarrhea or skin manifestations. So there is an interesting relationship between vitamin B3 and serotonin. So to summarize, I have given the gist only, the excerpts about the serotonin agonist and antagonist, not exactly full textbook description. It is an important mediator of inflammation and neurotransmitter, particularly in those brain areas which are involved in behavior and mood. Now, agonists and antagonists of serotonin are useful in many clinical disorders, particularly depression and migraine. Sumatriptan is a drug of choice for the moderate migraine when it is not treated by NSAIDs alone. In fact, for acute migraine today, sumatriptan plus naproxen combination is approved for the treatment of acute migraine. This is because it is found to be more effective. A variety of seemingly unrelated drugs are useful for the prevention of migraine attacks. So I complete it here. I hope provided you very useful input to prepare you for appearing in the Viva examination and to widen the horizon of thinking about serotonin, its agonists and antagonists. Thank you for joining. The next presentation, I will discuss drugs for the treatment of dry and productive cough as antitussives and expectorants or mucolytics. Thank you.